Welcome to Forum 360 on Fusion, your PBS channel. This is Leslie Ungar, your host today. Thank you for joining us on our global outlook with a local view. Here is how KOMAE describes what it is and what it does. In Greek, KOMAE means village. For parents, it means free babysitting. KOMAE helps parents swap sits, babysits, with people that they trust. I sit for you, you sit for me, and you don't pay for sitters anymore. You handpick your group of trusted friends to join your village. They make offers and you pick the one that's best for you. Now, interestingly enough, the national average is $15 per hour for babysitting. 3.5 hours would be $52. Imagine you could save $52 each time you need a few hours to run errands or work out. KOMAE is an app and a concept started by two women and stay-at-home moms here in Northeast Ohio, Audrey Wallace and Amy Houston. Audrey comes with us today to talk about the idea that they came up with, an idea that they turned into an app. They were even on a version of Shark Tank and won the competition. The simple truth is, innovation is alive and well in Northeast Ohio. We welcome our guest, Audrey Wallace, and we welcome our audience to Forum 360.
Hi, Leslie. Thanks so much for having me.
It's my pleasure.
You do a fantastic job of explaining KOMAE.
Well, that's, you know what? As a communication coach, it is always so much easier to describe someone else's value than it is for anyone to describe their own value.
Yes.
So, you know, I can appreciate it as the mother of dogs. I can appreciate your app so much. Yes. So I think that makes it easier for me too. Well, first, kind of take us down memory lane.
Sure.
Okay. And one reason I was glad to have you, besides your app, is I'm always supportive and in admiration of women in business and innovation. So you and Amy are partners and come up with this concept. Mm-hmm. So when and how did the two of you meet?
Well, we met the week before her anniversary, so it's always very easy to remember how long we've been friends, because she's almost been married 10 years now. So we've known each other a very long time. And she moved to Akron, where I live as well, and we started going to the same church. And that just meant that we were in community together all the time. We became leaders together, and we were always serving together in service projects and creating different activities and events and things to do. So we were just kind of always working together. And it really worked out well because we have very complementary skills. So Amy is very detail-oriented, task-oriented, make a list and get it done. And I'm more, hey, let's have a big vision and get a bunch of people excited about something. So the two of us together partner really well to create a company.
So can you remember, like, is there a defining moment when you can remember that aha of this idea?
Yes, there's a couple of them. The very first one was really just us tackling our own problem. So you talked about innovation, and necessity is the mother of invention, right? Well, these mothers needed some free time, so we invented something to help ourselves. And that moment was, we were standing in the lobby of our church and we were talking about date night. And when was the last time you went on a date night? And we're parents of young children. Our children were 3 and under at that time. And so I was just like, Amy, text me. I'm home. We both are stay-at-home moms. I'll help you. And she was like, oh, okay, thanks. She never texted me. And I was trying to offer her help, but she felt awkward accepting it. So then I said, well, how about we just formalize it a little bit and we just keep track of it with a point system so that you feel more comfortable asking for that help, and then I am giving you something of value. So we asked our friends in our little circle, would you guys like to do this? So 10 of us came together, and Amy and I met, and we created a point system and bylaws and spreadsheets and Facebook groups and all this stuff to make this babysitting co-op work.
Person?
She is. She was in
I kind of thought so.
She was just delighted. I was like, I'll get the people, you get the spreadsheet, and let's do this together. So that's how it began. It was just us and 10 families. And in 1 year, those 10 families did 165 sits. And we multiplied that by the average babysitting rate. That's almost $10,000 that we saved with all the free time that these parents had. And we thought, and actually our friends in our group were like, well, Liz asked if she could join, and Kate was like, my friend in Texas said, can I pay them to teach me how to do this with my friends? Now, we're not the first people to come up with a babysitting co-op. My mom did that when I was a kid. She had all the wives of police officers work together in a community, and but they would exchange laminated tokens or strings, beads on a shoestring, or whatever other antiquated version of this. And we thought, we're millennials. In the age of technology, how do we still have a spreadsheet or people using laminated tokens? So we thought, what if we turned this into an app? And so that was the second aha moment, was the desire of other people to get the free time that these 10 moms were getting. We expanded our group to 16 families and had to turn some people away, and had others asking us if we could teach them how to do it too.
I worked with a client that had an idea to develop an app. But I have no idea, even after listening to her talk about it, I really have no idea what goes into it. So can you share with our listeners and our viewers, so you have an idea for an app, but to get from this idea to actually an app that we just press on our phone and really don't think a lot about it when we just press it.
Right. You don't think about it until that button doesn't work. And then you're like, why is my button not working? Well, there's so much behind the scenes. So you're absolutely right. And as two stay-at-home moms, we didn't have a clue either, which is an extra layer to the story, which is really fun, because our husbands are involved in technology. They work in technology. Now, they're not app developers, but they knew how to speak the language, and they knew how to talk to developers and to get the project kicked off for us. So it was literally the four of us sitting around our dining room tables, dreaming about this, coming up with the name, coming up with the strategy. Now, we didn't have any money to do any of this, and developing an app costs tens of thousands of dollars. So we also created a Kickstarter campaign. So we did crowdfunding. If you've never heard of Kickstarter, it's a website where you put your idea out there and you ask people to pay for it before it's created.
Okay, so I have seen that raise more money than the person or the group even asked for.
Right.
And I have seen it raise almost nothing.
Right.
So how did it work for you?
We fought for 35 days during our campaign, because the way it works is if you don't hit your mark, you get $0. Nobody's credit card is charged until the end of your campaign, and if you haven't hit your goal, you don't get anything.
So you were asking for how much?
We were asking for $20,000, and that was a pretty stressful time for Amy and I and our husbands, and we worked really hard. And in fact, things like this really helped us, because we would be picked up by we got to be interviewed on Cleveland News, and that got a whole bunch of excitement and new backers and things like that. And on day 34, we crossed the $20,000 mark, which was a huge, huge win to us, which was very exciting. So we knew that there was enough interest for people that had backed us to move forward and make this product, and now we had some cash in the bank to get started on the project as well.
So that was, just chronologically, that was when?
That was 2 years ago. It's 2015 in the fall.
Okay, so then you get some money.
Right.
Then what do you do when you have an idea for a concept and an app?
Right. So from my experiences, you need somebody that knows how to talk technology, how to talk tech. And in our case, it was our spouses. In some people's cases, it might be a co-founder that's a technology co-founder. So Amy and I, we have the pieces of the puzzle as far as the visionary and the operations person, but we didn't have that tech piece. So that's what our husbands were. We were a four-man team at that point. We were all working equally on it. So then as we grew and as we got more funding, and our husbands still had 40-plus hour workday jobs, we had to hire that in internally. So now we have a developer on our team, thanks to our investors that have helped fund that. So it took a year, though, to get from that point, from the Kickstarter to working with contractors and having an agency and all that to get the project started.
So is it now an app that someone can use?
Yes, anybody right now can go on to Google Play or the iTunes App Store and download KOMAE.
So if I kind of conjure up my Mark Cuban from Shark Tank, and he's going to ask about some numbers. So how many people have downloaded KOMAE as an app?
We have almost 8,000 people that have created accounts on the app, and that's nationwide.
Now, how does that fall in line with what your business plan was? What did you expect to have at this point?
Wow, that's a great question. Of course, as the mothers of this project, we thought it would come out and everyone and their mother would download the app, right? So we definitely, as you have to be irrationally bought into the project you're creating in order to make it through all the hard times. Like I said, those 35 days were incredibly hard, and if we didn't think that it was so valuable for every parent to get free babysitting by swapping with friends, we would have quit a long time ago. So we've made it through all these hurdles in the technology and in the growth and all that, and are where we are today. So we definitely thought that we would be in the tens of thousands of users by now, but it's fueling our fire to continue to figure out what pieces we're missing and what we need to change in order to keep growing.
Now, one thing that I'm interested in, I kind of have a saying when people talk about word of mouth advertising or marketing, I always say they'll die first, just meaning that you have to have a network of people to get a message out to, and you have to have a strong message. So I would think that mothers are a strong network, that it would go kind of like wildfire through mothers wanting to share.
Right, so that's what has been exciting, is seeing somebody pop up in Southern California and within 24 hours have 12 people in her village and exchange her first sit. So obviously she was somebody ready to roar. And then we have other people. One of the biggest things we learned, it's so interesting, because Amy and I said when we started this that you need to bring your own network of friends, because it's all about trust. When it comes to our children, we're not dropping our kids off. And just so everybody knows, KOMAE is not a place to post your babysitting need to your entire zip code and let some stranger offer to babysit your kids. You explained it well. You invite, just like any social network, you send a friend request or a villager request to somebody that you know and trust with your children. And then when they accept it, now they're in your village. They can see when you have a sit need, they can see your children's profiles, so they know how to take care of them really well. They see your address, but not until that point. So your information and your kids are private and secure on KOMAE.
So people only use people that they know?
Correct. That's the mission. That's what we designed it to be. But what we kept hearing was, I love this concept and I need a break. And I'd love to give someone else a break. It's just I don't have a village. I moved. I'm a military spouse. I'm the first of my friends to have a child.
Then what happens?
So we were, wow, okay, back to the drawing board. So the people that brought their friends with them, great, they can get going. But the people that downloaded the app and thought, I kind of expected to be able to see people in my zip code, those people we needed to help in a new way. So over the past 6 months, we've been working behind the scenes and we just launched this. It's called KOMAE Nearby. So if you are that person that needs your village, you can see people within a 15-mile radius that are also in KOMAE, and then you can suggest a play date with them. So we're kind of blending the mommy dating, we call it play dating, finding friends with getting free babysitting. So now you can go on there and you can see other KOMAE users in your area that are interested in swapping sits, suggest a play date, meet up at a park, go to coffee, get to know them, and once you establish that trust, then invite them into your village to start swapping free sits.
I'm going to ask you about meetups as soon as I reintroduce our topic today. We are talking with one of the two founders of KOMAE, KOMAE, a new app that will just give you free babysitting. You bring your community, or you can find a community. It could just be heaven for parents with small kids, so you might want to refer it to someone that you know. Now, you talked about play dating, but you suggest something called a meetup.
Yes.
So tell us, what is a meetup? How do you host a meetup? And are you talking about literally meeting up, or just figuratively, or doing an online?
So KOMAE is kind of giving that tangibleness back to friendship, because with social media you hear all the time that you've never been surrounded by more people but more alone. You have, and you hear people saying, oh, I liked your picture on Facebook. That's the last interaction we've had with each other. How about we get together and we touch each other and we talk and we feel and we help each other. So that's really what KOMAE is all about. So our KOMAE Mommy Meetups are thanks to our customers saying, I am obsessed with this concept and I want to get all my friends involved. How do I help them learn about KOMAE? So we said, well, here's the tools that you need. So if you register for a meetup on our website, we send you videos, we send you little ways to create a Facebook event to invite all your friends to come. And then when you get together with them, you play a video of Amy and Audrey. We greet you. It's just like we're there in your living room with you to help you understand how KOMAE works. And then the idea is everyone everyone would download the app, make friends in the room, like, oh, I didn't know you were friends with her. We are in the same neighborhood. Let's meet up and let's actually join each other's villages. So it's a way for another networking tool for people to get connected with each other.
So what happens if my way, say, of disciplining my child, or what I let them get away with, is different than someone else's? How does that work?
Well, everybody chooses their own village. So it's basically them choosing who they would trust with their kids and who their kids get along and play with, and then also who they would feel comfortable with them doing that. So again, we always say invite somebody into your village if you would trust them with your kids for a couple hours. And what's also fun is that it's really a play date for your child. My kids never liked having babysitters. They felt like mom was leaving them. The teenager would come over and be playing video games on her phone and not engaging. But when I drop them off for a KOMAE sit, they only know they're having a play date with their friend. So it's good also to have people in your village with children the same age as your children.
So you said they. So you can use this for more than one child at a time.
Absolutely.
That just depends on the people in your village,
Yep,
right?
and our point system calculates all that for you. And we don't want anyone to have to do math. So again, the point system is encouraging that cycle of reciprocity. So rather than saying, here, I'm going to pay you to watch my kids, or will you do it for free? There's a middle ground there, and that's giving you points that then it's a virtual currency that unlocks free time for you. So when I type in the details of the sit, how many hours, what day of the week, how many kids, it multiplies it by our formula and tells you how many points that sit is worth. So when you hit submit, it would tell me this sit is worth 5 points. Are you interested in earning those 5 points, which then give me 5 points worth of free time another day.
So what happens if I've used KOMAE to watch my kids. I haven't had the opportunity, for whatever reason, I haven't had the opportunity to watch much in other people's kids.
Right.
So I don't have points in that case, right? And so is that like a black mark on me in KOMAE if
Gotcha.
I don't have points?
You have a bank, and it's just like any currency. So we start you with 20 points in your bank. Now you can use those 20 points all the way down to 0. And at 0, we say kindly, you need to help a friend at this point. Now you also have the ability to post when you're available to help. So let's say you've gotten down low, or you have a big event coming up and you know you need to bank some points. You can say, I'm home on Saturday, my husband and I will both be there, and I've done this, or I'll have a movie night, and I'll have 10 kids over, and I'll earn a bunch of points all at once, just a movie popcorn, and it's a lot of fun, and I earn a bunch of points at one time to refill my bank, and then I use those points sporadically over time as I need them. Now we also, it's interesting, found that people were serving so much, we put a cap on the top end as well. You can't go over 40 points, because then that person that's down at 0 needs you to go out and spend points, just like economy. You know, if the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. So we cap that spread to 0 and to 40. And if you get to 40 points, you're still welcome to serve your friend, but you just can't earn points anymore. You've capped out.
Now, you know, one of the toughest questions for anyone in any profession is some variation of the why you question. Why should I vote for you? Why should I hire you? Why should I whatever? But even knowing that, I'm going to ask you, are there other apps that are similar in any way? And if there are, how is KOMAE different and better than those other apps?
So everybody knows that technology is disrupting everything. We're not the first to think, let's use technology for babysitting. But we are the first to say, let's use technology to help parents spend less money on babysitting rather than more money on babysitting. Any other babysitting app out there is going to charge you perhaps a subscription fee to then search their database of strangers that you then hire and pay dollars for babysitting. So KOMAE is the only sharing economy for childcare.
So how it costs money to have, you know, your techs and, you know, still business costs money. So how do you see making money to keep KOMAE going?
Right. Well, to date, we've done things like the Kickstarter, that Shark Tank competition. In fact, we've won probably 8 or 9 Shark Tank-like competitions at this point where we've pitched our business plan and gotten grant funding. And we also have investors. So that's how we've done it to date.
Okay, so the investors, how do they get their money back?
So this is a business plan with a strategy. So think about Instagram, think about Pinterest, think about Facebook. These are social networks. That's what KOMAE is. And they did not capitalize on their customer base until they had the solid user base. So we are building a solid user base now that we will then capitalize on later. Now we do have a premium version of KOMAE available. So we have subscription in there as well. So we're beginning to start revenue generation and then also partnering with advertising affiliates. So if there's a brand out there that is looking to target parents of 0 to 12-year-old children, or more specifically, a child who's potty training. And then my customer maybe will get a coupon from that person because they know that their child is in the middle of potty training. So we can have advertising affiliates targeted very finely to our customer for products that they need at the right time.
So let's get down to a really important topic, okay? My children are four-legged children.
Yes.
They are not two-legged children. And so they never grow up, so they never grow out of needing sitting. And sometimes they do. So do you see this app expanding to using, I suppose, not only dogs or cats or, baby, gerbils or whatever people have? Do you see it for more than kids?
Absolutely. It takes a village to do a lot of things in our busy lives, and we care for a lot of things. And the millennials that are coming up now, they want work life, family life, social life. They want to squeeze it all in. And how can they do that? And how can they do it on a nickel so they can afford all the things? So our service is really helping them fit all that into their life. So if they have a furry child or a child, or even their home, their yard, what else can they swap in order to do more in their life? So yes, adding in pets. In fact, I love seeing, we've had sits pop up where the description said, give kibble, take on walk, and scratch behind ears. And we thought, that's not a child. Wait a minute. And we looked in, and that person had 2 children and their dog as the 3rd child profile, but they did a pet sit without us even selling that product to them. Somebody else put their house in there. She said, I love having kids over and I hate cleaning my house. Maybe somebody else hates having kids over but loves cleaning houses. Would somebody come clean my house for X a number of points?
And so that's okay.
And then, yeah, you can swap whatever you want.
It's kind of your village, and whatever
you've agreed to do with people. And maybe somebody will take your sit, maybe they won't, but test it out. Why not try it? And then we will put marketing and actual profiles in for pets eventually as the timing is appropriate. But for now, and just the why you, Amy and I are 2 moms, 2 stay-at-home moms to start. We don't have a business degree, but we have a business, and we've started this, and it's rolling. And one thing we hear from parents when they'll write to us and say, I have a question about something, they'll say, I looked up a bunch of options, but I loved that yours was founded by 2 moms just like me, and I want to support you guys and use your service, and I'm amazed by what you've created so far. So that's another reason that it's fun for us as moms to be the founders of this.
Now, has there been any bad experience that has gotten back to you with someone within their village?
We haven't had anything reported to us, and the question is always, what's the liability, and what about background checks? KOMAE is a communication tool. We're not telling you that we vetted and interviewed and background checked a babysitter. This is a fellow parent that should be in your community of friends that you have invited into your village. So we really ask parents, that's why we say schedule that play date with somebody before you really get engaged with them with babysitting. Get to know their husband, see their house, do they have a pet, do they have a pool, and we're putting those things into the profile as well so you can get a better understanding of people. But we don't have those kinds of things built into the app right now because it's a scheduling system, it's a coordination tool, and a calendar for you to schedule with people you trust.
Now, can I had to go check out my dog sitter before I took my dog there. Can you do the same thing?
Yes, there's a button that says schedule a play date. So what I've done, when I've received a request to be in a village of somebody who's a friend of a friend, but I didn't actually know her, first step, ask the friend, who is this person and do you trust her? And second step, hey, how about we have a play date? You can come to my house and then we'll do one at your house and we'll get a feel for whether this is a good match. Now let's say I do invite her into my village and I'm still getting that comfort level. I never have to accept an offer from her. She can make an offer and maybe my other friend offers as well. I'll just pick that person until I'm comfortable with her or whomever my kids match up best with. There's a lot of options within that. I'm not, by inviting her into my village, I'm not saying you will be babysitting my kids.
Yes.
Right.
In just the minute that we have left, I'm going to ask you for one or two word answers to a few questions. You and Amy are both graduates of Baldwin Wallace.
That's right.
Is that right? I was texting Jim Trussell last night after the Ohio State win,
cool.
who was a Baldwin Wallace
Yes.
graduate. Tell us something that was great about Baldwin Wallace or Northeast Ohio, where Baldwin Wallace is.
That's so fun. Amy and I actually weren't even there at the same time and didn't know each other at that time. How wonderful is fate in that way? And her husband went there as well. I actually was on the basketball team, so that was my main draw to it. We had a fantastic team when we were there.
Now, you went to Buckeye High School.
Yes.
And then you ended up going to school in England.
I did.
What surprised you most about the United Kingdom?
Oh, a piece of my heart is still there, and I love England. I think what surprised me most, and I was there this time, wow, 14 years ago, just the way that everyone welcomed you in so quickly, and the hospitality that I received there was wonderful.
Are you excited about the upcoming wedding?
Of course. What an interesting pair.
Isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, that says a lot I think for women in general, it says a lot.
And the changing of times as well.
Yes, even in the monarchy.
Exactly.
Yes. All tech startups don't have to be located in Silicon Valley. Facebook wasn't even located in Silicon Valley when it started. The co-founder of a new app, KOMAE, Audrey Wilson, has joined us today on Forum 360. Two young stay-at-home moms here in Northeast Ohio identified a need, went about finding a technological way to solve it. And the answer is, I sit for you and you sit for me. And we don't exchange dollars. It's called KOMAE. Today we learned how to go from an idea to an application. Whatever idea you have, these two women have been an inspiration to all of us. Thank you for joining us on Forum 360. I'm Leslie Ungar with a global outlook and a local view.
Forum 360 is brought to you with support from Electric Impulse Communications, Kim and Harvey Nelson, Rubber City Radio Group, Acronist.com, Hudson Cable, Medical Mutual of Ohio, Forum 360 supporters, and the Shaw Jewish Community Center of Akron.